Network.
Bring that beat back, DJ.
We're gonna have to work on your ending, man. That ending is so abrupt.
That was perfect, man.
Yeah, it's so abrupt, man. I can't even pick my nose in comfort. Shit.
Welcome to the Fourcast. It's just three of us tonight. Wilkes will not be on, but keep your prayers up for him, and hopefully he'll be back next week.
Yep. Shout out to Mayhem.
Yes, sir. All right, we'll be back again with another review. This one, we were scheduled to review. What was the name of that film? A Jasmine's Blues, but we all came to the agreement that this was more pertinent for right now, which is
a Negroes Blues. Hey, we changed it to that. Shit.
And tonight we're going to be reviewing Hebrews to Negroes. It's a movie documentary promo by director Ronald Dalton. And this guy, I don't know how long this show going to take, but this is probably going to be the longest show that we've had, because there is so much information in this documentary that he broke it down. So we could talk about it tonight. Kyrie mentioned it. I don't know if Kanye mentioned it or not, but we gonna dive into it. So first off,
now before you go there, let's make sure we're very clear in a couple of things. Hebrews to Negroes is the production company, right? And it is it is a part of each title of his documentary, but the Wake Up Black America part is significant, because that will differentiate this particular movie documentary from other ones, such as Reclaiming the Throne, The Curses of Israel, etc. So he has another one. So it is Hebrews to Negroes, Wake Up Black America. That's the specific one that deals with the lineage of Hebrews to Negroes.
Yes. Sorry. Working something out.
And I think it's also pertinent that we issue a warning, right? This is the Fourcast. This ain't your daddy, your mom and daddy Siskel and Ebert. This ain't Papa Siskel and Ebert. The way we review movies ain't the way they review movies. Not only do we talk about the delivery of whatever information a director or a producer or a production company puts out, but we also speak about the content. And in this one, we're going to be speaking a hell of a lot more about the content than the delivery, as far as I'm concerned.
Yes, facts. But A-Trap, how you doing?
I'm good, man.
How your back VD doing?
Man, my back VD's flying up too, but I'm used to it. I keep Lisa. I got a penicillin drip on mine. My back VD,
a penicillin drip.
Mayhem new to this VD.
Yeah, right.
He new to it. You true to it.
I'm new to it. Yeah, I'm true to it. He new to it.
Yeah.
My back feet is literally hurting right all the way straight up the right side of my back, this side. So when you said, man, my back, I'm like, damn.
It's such a part of everyday life for me. I don't even mention it to folks most of the time. It's what it is, man. It's just what it is.
Yeah.
Yes, indeed.
And Doc, how you doing?
I'm fantastic, man. Fantastic. Definitely looking to get into this one, because it's ironic that the guy that put this out, issued a statement today, which we'll get into a little later too. And I think that was
cool.
And when I say his thoughts on it, now he said it a hell of a lot better than I can say it, but his thoughts on it, especially as it relates to Kyrie directly. He didn't mention his name specifically, but you could tell that that's exactly what he was addressing, So the fact that he issued that statement, again, on the same day that we're getting ready to review this, I'm like, I'm with it.
Yeah. And I meant to tell you, I got I put it in a graphic, so I got it.
Yeah, I saw it.
I got some quotes too. That's gonna probably blow y'all minds.
I saw it.
All right, so let me get to the chat real quick.
Yeah.
Justin Caraway in the building. Thank you for tuning in.
What's up, kinfolk?
Jay Gilliard, I believe that is the spouse of LaToya, co-host of Perspective.
Okay.
He says, where can we see this movie? So it is on Amazon Prime.
Mm-hmm.
Normally I give you guys the spill that you could just, get an email, but you can't do that on this one. You're going to have to pay a solid $11. It's 100% worth it.
Mm-hmm.
And
or you can pay 10 and get it in standard definition.
Oh, standard definition?
But you see how they do it, though. They going to put the HD version out front. And this is
I didn't see that.
And this is not one that you need to watch in HD. I knew what they were doing. I didn't care. I didn't have time to go flipping, man. I just clicked it. Let's get this shit started. But they being smart about it.
Yeah. And then we got Facebook user. If you please click, there's a link that'll say StreamYard.com/Facebook. Click that link. We can see who you are. And then we got Pastor Dodd in the building. Thank you for tuning in to another
Blue Streak.
Oh, okay. All right. Appreciate the Blue Streak.
Yeah, we normally can see your stuff.
I don't know what it is with StreamYard and Facebook. It's like they go through a back and forth. I don't know, but sometimes it works, sometimes it don't. Brother Kev in the building. Thank you for tuning in. All right. So it was directed by Ronald Dalton. I'll just say this, let's get to our initial thoughts. I've actually watched a couple of his things. So this is, I think this is the first one, but I watched a couple of his, and he really, when I tell you he dives into something, some people just brush over it. This dude went so deep into this topic that he talked about hair, he talked about DNA, he talked about skin color, he talked about historic skeleton bones. I mean, that
craniology. Yeah,
exactly. So it's hard to debunk this if you haven't watched it. If you haven't watched it, you can talk about it all day.
That's right. And so
if you watch this,
let's just go on and hit this right quick, real hard in the mouth. And I want H-Rap to tag team off of it when I get through saying this. I'm not saying I'm not a Kyrie Irving fan at all. I'm just not, right? But the dude can ball, right? Ultra talented. But what he said with regard to this, I got to step in and defend the cat a little bit. And this is what this director of this is basically said. And basically, this cat used the study of the following. Okay, take a deep breath, because I'm gonna have to take a deep breath to say how many facets he used in order to be able to come up with what he came with. He used a study of history, theology, geography, biology, craniology, odontology, genetics, linguistics, archaeology, and more. He didn't just say
paleontology.
But he didn't just come say, I interviewed this cat that used to live in Egypt. He didn't just say, I found a bone that looked like this in South Africa. He didn't just say, I studied the DNA of 10 Americans, Black Americans in Georgia. That ain't what he did. This cat used all these study methods. And when I say deep dive, I mean deep dive. This was not a 30,000 foot view. This was a deep dive into this particular topic. And as far as I'm concerned, when you walk away, it is indisputable. And to be perfectly honest with you, this don't have to be the longest damn show we do. As far as I'm concerned, it can be the shortest. You can end the shit right now, because the cat did everything you need to do. Watch that. We ain't got to debate nothing.
Yeah.
Hey, Trap.
Ain't no thing. Check it bleed. Everybody was down to the bone. The pilot was on the floor. He grabbed the thing and went right down the runway. Check that thing like a mother. Shit.
What are you talking about?
Okay. Enough for Airplane 2. If you haven't seen it, just Google Airplane 2.
I'm more
Jack.
Airplane 1 guy, but I got you.
No, but on the serious side, I literally told people I was gonna do that. That's why I did.
Oh.
I have literally
I was
been
about to
practicing
say,
that
where
all
you
day.
get that from?
Nah, man, this is right up my alley. These are like, I went through this phase. That's how I got the nickname H-Rap. That's where the nickname comes from. I went through this super duper pro black stage. Me and my mom used to talk about things like this. I'm genetically predisposed to talk about things like this. My dad was part of the Black Panther Party, self-defense. I got friends. Man, this was my thing. When I was 18, 19 years old, I went through this, the white man out to get me, kill the white man phase. And I was reading stuff like this. So when I saw this in a documentary, it was like, it was this dude that we used to subscribe to by the name of Malachi Z. York. He's currently incarcerated. It depends. I don't want to get into why he's incarcerated. But
what's up, Quita? What's up, Quita? What's up, Pastor?
Get a bedhead in the building.
Yeah. So this was I told Pastor Don I'll do it too. Yeah. But yeah, man. So this is one of those situations to whereas if you know your heritage, this didn't shock you at all. I used to do a lot of reading about these things. I used to literally get this. I live in Chicago, Illinois. Nah, ain't no, that wasn't Pootie. No, but I used to drive from Chicago, Illinois to get books about this. I used to drive from Chicago, Illinois to an hour outside of Atlanta called Eatonton, Georgia, where this man literally had makeshift pyramids on his property that he was selling information like this. So it was like eye-opening, like, wow, I thought I would never come across these things again. And it was kind of I'm gonna say this and just be honest. I don't understand why people tripping with Kyrie. This had in my personal opinion, this had absolutely zero to do with anti-Semitism. This was fact-finding. This was this was direct, and it was accurate as humanly possible. As Doc mentioned previous to me speaking, this was a situation to whereas this man took every scientific and biblical path you could take to determine to get to his conclusion. And for people to say this is anti-Semitic is a injustice to him and to young brother Irving. And like Doc, I am not a fan of Irving, and this is one of those things to whereas Shannon Sharp socially has been getting flack. I do believe that the brothers on ESPN who didn't watch the movie, clearly didn't watch the book, they just condemn brother Irving. I think they should be slapped in the mouth. And I know we're not. Maybe
and that's the answer to your question. You say you don't know why people are reacting to that. That is it. Is that simple?
Yeah, they
didn't watch it. As simple as that. They didn't invest the 3 hours. Yeah. In fact, you didn't even need 3 hours. Did y'all need any more than an hour? Did y'all need any more than 30 minutes? Really? You got me already.
About 45 minutes because the first 20 minutes.
I wanted it.
Intro.
Yeah, there you go.
I wanted
there you
it.
go.
Yeah. But
you don't need it. So that's the answer. That's the reason why. And again, it is really no different than, remember when we reviewed
Exterminate the Brutes.
There you go. Exterminate the Brutes, right? You heard some of the same types of things about people who were supporting that film and whatnot. You know, they were immediately dismissing it, and you could tell you hadn't watched this, because there's no way you can watch it and walk away thinking anything other than, wow, that's pretty dope, that's pretty concise, that's pretty, detailed, et cetera, unless you had your mind made up before you watched it. Simple as that.
Before you speak, all right, thanks, Jungle. Before you speak, Ben, even if you did have your mind made up about this being anti-Semitic, when you watch it, it's over. It's over because he did not say one anti-anything word.
Yeah. And here's the thing, too. The stuff that we're saying is that he was bashing Jews. He didn't bash Jews. He had factual information, and he took quotes from what actual people said. He didn't say that this is something that this is my thoughts. He had actual, which we got quotes we could pull up of quotes of what people actually said.
I hope you got the one that said, "How you gonna leave black and come back white?"
That one.
Shit,
I got that one.
That's the one.
And I misquoted who it was, but somebody.
But see, here's the deal, right? You said, we talked about, people having something to say against these types of movies and whatnot. Well, what you have here is you have a Karen situation, right? So they're using these fire words like anti-Semitic, and it's no different than we've seen these video clips and stuff like that of a Karen basically saying he threatened me, or he tried to hit, or he tried to do this, and it's just completely false, right? A black guy in my neighborhood seems threatening, or I got a suspicious character in my. It's those catchphrases, those words that's going to get a lot of attention. So whenever they're saying anti-Semitic, they don't even understand. People who are hollering anti-Semitic don't even know what the hell Semitic is at least half the time. At least half the time. And technically it is not Semitic, it is Shemitic, but
right,
again,
exactly.
don't get it.
And it's the bare minimum, okay? If you do or don't know the Bible, you know Noah, and you know his sons, which was Shem, Japheth, and Ham. All of us come from one of those three people because it didn't exist. You remember the flood? Did y'all remember that part?
Yeah.
So we have to come from one of those three. And when he dived deep into it, which we'll continue to talk about it, the black people, I'm not saying African American, the black people, or the black race, if you want to say, are from the lineage of Shem.
Yeah.
And
so when we say we at Mama and them house, we saying we at Mama Shem now. Mama Shem house, not Mama and them. Y'all just
somebody said, fellas, I'm not sure who that may be Key possibly, but appreciate you for tuning in. So we will read a little bit of a scripture tonight too, because again, history goes along with the Bible. The Bible is not just a mythical story that you have nothing to do with. You have something to do with it. And when people talk about it's a living word, it's truly a living word, and it talks about history and prophecy.
Yeah.
So
and don't get it twisted with the versions that you done seen and how people done manipulated it to serve their purposes. Okay, so that's another thing you got to dive a little deeper into, right? Which is where the Torah comes into play and things of that nature. So don't get it twisted.
But see, that's the beauty and the truth. You can manipulate the truth, but the truth the truth is like math. It's like exact. It comes back to the truth. Yeah. No matter how you reframe it. Hey, I saw Dog the other night. He was doing something he wasn't supposed to be doing. Now, everybody you can draw your own conclusion. But
that ain't no lie.
Right. but you can draw your own conclusion. But the facts are, I saw Dog the other night. That the opinionated part is he was doing. That's the part you're talking about.
Right.
Twisted.
There you go.
He was doing something that he wasn't. Okay, who's saying he was doing something he wasn't supposed to be doing? Well, that's the way I feel. Well, you know what? How you feel means nothing in regards to the truth. Did you see him? Yes, I saw him. It's over.
Yeah. And I think the big picture is no one can sit here and lie and say black people haven't been deceived. They haven't been bamboozled, lied to. If you cannot say that. So this is not, even if you're not remotely, you don't want to believe it, it's not far-fetched. There's no way it's far-fetched. So look, I'm gonna get to a couple things. One thing Ronald Dalton said is a lie cannot live forever. And then Revelations 12:19.
Which is a biblical principle, by the way.
Yep. And the great dragon was cast out, the old serpent, called the devil Satan, which deceiveth the whole world. He was cast into the earth, and his angels were cast out with him. And so throughout this entire thing, he was reading scripture, and then he would go to historical books, and then he would go to something that a person said that was either an author or someone that was a historian in that time. So
my man Socrates, he touched them all.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Socrates.
Okay.
But you know, just to give people an idea, these are a couple of the scriptures he came out and started with at the very beginning in his intro. And this one was key to me, man. Every king springs from a race of slaves, and every slave had kings amongst his ancestors. And that was a Plato quote. And then he came with a scripture out of Isaiah: I am the Lord, that is my name, and my glory will I not give to another, neither my praise to graven images. So again, when he came out, he was setting, when I say set the table,
Set the tone.
And like A-Trap said, intro is 20 minutes, you know, easy, just setting it up, you know, and this probably had some previews from some other Hebrews, the Negroes, documentaries and stuff like that as well. But his setup was so dope that I'm completely in, you know.
Yeah. And I'll say this, Deuteronomy 28. If you read that chapter, you cannot tell me that that's related to anybody else. Logic, if you, like you said, critical thinking, reading and reasoning, you can't read that and say, oh, that pertains to somebody else. And I just wanted to point out real quick. Oh, go ahead.
I mean, if you read Genesis starts in a place that is in abundance and plentiful. It's only one place on earth that is an abundance of that nature and plentiful. There's only one place on the earth that has all the animals, all the food, all the oil, all the diamonds, all the minerals,
all the pig feet,
all the pig feet grain. They got pork chop. They got everything over there.
What's up, Just Joe?
The building.
I mean, but let's just be honest. You know, we don't even have to read. You know, go in depth with the scripture. Deuteronomy is an excellent example. But if you just go basic, like it's not a shameless plug. Ironically, I showed a video. Like as we move along, we'll probably mention this. It's this video that I showed the true Asiatic man of the true Asiatic man of Asia, and he showed how there are certain portions of China and the Philippines and other portions of Asia that the DNA of the original man is the African man.
Yeah.
So if it goes as far as China and the original man is the African man, all that land in between, I would argue that he was there as well, because you just can't take you know, we can run and jump, but we can't jump from Africa to China. You know what I'm saying? So
right. And mainly it talks about the curses. You know, the curses that, and what people every time something happens nightly on the news. I think part of it is us being portrayed, but part of it is we are the most downtrodden group of people, period. I mean, like, if you want to compare it, you can try if you want, but if you look at it, that's us. But it talks about being scattered across the world. And I bring up this example. You remember Ukraine and Russia, and you see the image of the people getting on the train. And if you look back, actually some of it was in the front, but if you look in the back, it was somebody dark. We everywhere.
The ones
there's not one place that we not. And Doc, you being the one that travels, you know, I'm sure you see us everywhere.
Yeah, the black skin. See, what people don't understand is that because we've obviously the places that we go, we will mix with whatever is there, right? You know, and so that's why the tones change, and that's why the hair, you know, may be more kinky in one spot and less kinky in another spot, et cetera, you know. But yeah, there's no place that I've been that I hadn't seen this. Not a single place.
And then, like a fun fact, as I do every week, is people always talk about, you know, how the Abenaki Jewish people, the people who are white Jews, for in layman's terms, how they were destroyed, or a portion of that population was destroyed in Nazi Germany. But what you don't talk about is the first group of Jews that were killed were Ethiopian Jews. And Ethiopia, it's the land of dark faces. And or if you want to go biblical, we can go KUSH or CUSH, and that's the same group of people that look like us.
Yeah.
And I had and he mentioned what Ethiopia means, which it means a black person. That's what the word Ethiopia means. So
yeah, people don't understand that a lot of lands and stuff like that. There's a place called Negro land. It is not known as that before, but places were named based on what was there. Either what was there in terms of agriculture or people. A lot of the world, that's how they got his name.
Yeah. And I appreciate this comment by Erica Keynes. Ham and Shem in red. Yes, they did, because obviously the Israelites were slaves in Egypt and
enslaved
in Egypt, and they slept with each other. They were married, and
the reason I corrected you on that, Ben, by just saying enslaved, is simply because, as he broke down, slave is just a derivative of the word Slavic.
Mm-hmm.
Good point.
So and then slave is a piece of property, and I don't want, I was educated a while back by this sister by the name of Karen Hunter, and Dr. Greg Carr, the head of Africana Studies, Howard University. They asked us to stop saying slaves. We should be called they should be the enslaved, because if you're a slave, you're a property. If you're enslaved, you're a human being forced to do something.
Appreciate that.
So that's why I wasn't trying to be rude to correct you. I just don't want.
Nah, you good.
I think it's
iron sharpens iron, man.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Erica also says, yes, it's a Greek word, and it literally means burnt black face. And so throughout this entire documentary, if you have not watched it, I would highly recommend you do it. It's $11, like I said, 10 if you want to do it in normal D.
It's wrapped,
not HD.
You want to do it? It's wrapped.
But watch it. I think you only have what is it, 48 hours to watch it.
Yeah, once you start it, yeah.
Yeah, you might want to do it on a Saturday or a Sunday, or start watching it Friday night. Do whatever is needed. But he went through, so there is a book that he was going through chapters. So he went through chapter 1, and then he would go to chapter 2. And I mean, this was a research. This was a thesis. That was almost what I would compare it to. Yeah. I mean, just breaking it down to every single degree. And so I want to get to his response real quick, because, and I have it. This is the first part of it. I'm not going to read all the way through it, but if you go to the BS3 Network Instagram, I did share it, so you can click on it and read it. But he talks about anti-Semitic, and he says, as a Shemite, I am against any form of anti-Semitism or anti-Shemitism in America or worldwide. Racist scapegoating, as well as unfair tactics that hold communities of color responsible for societal problems, must stop. And it really goes into it. And he also talks about roots, how that's played, during Black History Month. And this kind of continues on. And this is the part that I loved about what he put in here. He said, I explore everyone to take the time to read my books, watch my documentaries, then fact check everything, so that we all have a full understanding of true history of Black people in the diaspora, which is now being told from a different perspective. And then above that, he was saying, we talk about being inclusive. He's offering people to watch it for themselves, and then come at me, bro. What you got?
Mm-hmm.
And this guy, he debates too. He's not somebody to just put stuff out there. He has a YouTube channel and everything. So if you want to get even more information, I would say go to his YouTube channel. And yeah, he has debates on there where he'll debate people. He's not this is just something that I believe in and I'm not willing to talk to anybody about it. No, he will talk to you about it, debate you, or whatever. So
unfortunately, the powers that be who utilize propaganda, like he said, to stroke fear, I just need some catchphrases. I don't have to debate you. I don't have to prove you wrong. I just gotta whisper in the ear of those who are willing to go there with little information. And there are so many people who are willing to go there with little information. And you have to ask yourself, who's trying to shut them up? Dave Chappelle said that best when he talked about, I think it was when Martin Lawrence, he was speaking on Martin Lawrence when he had that little issue, right? And he says, and he talked about all the qualifications Martin Lawrence had and stuff like that. And he named a few people who were quote unquote listed as crazy. And he goes, think about it for a second. Are they crazy or is the system poison? Is it them or is it Hollywood? You know, so in this particular situation, is Kyrie crazy or is it who trying to shut him up? Who trying to discredit him? You know, see, when you're trying to discredit something, you don't want people to listen to what's being said. You can make it out. That's anti-Semitic. That's hate speech. That's crazy speech.
And a part of also what he said, then A-Trap, I want to go to you. I don't know if you read his statement, but he also said that why is it wrong for someone to research their history? How is it to offend you that I want to research and know where I came from? You know where you came from. You know where, if you're Italian, if you're other races, you know where you came from. You have a background. Mm-hmm. And when we try to look, when we post a link to Amazon Prime for this documentary, you all up in arms. If you don't even have Amazon Prime, you can't even watch it. So all it would do is take you to the page and you would read it and watch a trailer. So like go ahead, Etra.
No, I'm finished. When I do that, I'll be like, yes.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I'm just. It's just people are so sensitive when we want to know what our history is, because we know for a fact that it didn't just start at slavery. Yeah. It does not just start. Oh, we just appeared in Africa. That's not. Everybody has a lineage and a history. And the fact that Kyrie, which again, I'm not the biggest Kyrie fan either. Do I think he's crazy? No, I don't. I think he is researching his history and he's wanting to share it. If you decide to look at it, that's on you. I've seen plenty of videos of people, I know they didn't watch the documentary, but they just want to do a quick 1 minute, 5 minute YouTube video to try to debunk what he's saying. But if you don't watch it, you cannot intelligently talk about it. Mm-hmm. And we got a comment from Raider Kev. He says, so let me get this door correct.
This must be a typo, but
yeah, let me get this correct, maybe. The reason why Kyrie is suspended because he mentioned this documentary. If he apologized, I would be extremely disappointed. So the first part of that, he shared a documentary, but when they asked him about being anti-Semitic, he basically said, how can I be anti-Semitic if I know what my background is? Mm-hmm. And they were like, whoa, that's not correct, Kyrie. But he has apologized though. It was an Instagram post.
Yeah. And so
I don't think that was his word.
Well, see, it's just like I can't remember the other cat. Yeah, dog out of Chicago.
Kanye?
Yeah, the other cat where he said that they are financially lynching. Right, so again, You can't go hang a nigga now from a tree. You can shoot him if you're the police, right? But you can't go string a nigga up from the tree right now. So what we can do is financially lynch you. And so again, Kyrie, we're gonna take this money from you.
Okay, I want to address that.
You don't apologize.
I want to address that. I think, and I'm not accusing you of this, though. I think the conflating of Kanye's points and Kyrie's points are two totally different.
I'm not talking about the points. I'm talking about how they're dealing with them making those points.
But
that's the piece I'm talking about.
Kanye's points are fictitious points. Kanye had been lying for months about being the richest black man in the history of America. What he was really saying is, if these contracts that I have with these companies, if they come to fruition, then I have this much money. Because he never said, I have X amount of billions of dollars. He said, I'm worth. It's a difference. Mm-hmm. It's a difference. This is like saying, I'm worth this, and I got a house and a car and this. Yeah. If you add all that stuff together, you're worth that you don't have it. The thing with Kyrie, is they are attacking this dude for exactly what Ben said. Why are you getting bent out of shape when I want to learn about me? Because if I ever learn about me, I'll learn about how powerful I am. If I learn about how powerful I am, I break the mental chains. I break the mental chains. You can no longer control my mind. You can no longer control the people that I love and cherish. At that point, you can no longer control us. And now there's a paradigm shift. At this point, the entire world has been on the inflection at the precipice of an inflection point for about 6 years now. Let's just be honest. When they reintroduced open bigotry to the world without unabashed open bigotry, you created an inflection point. And you need the underclass or the belly of the universe to stay at the belly, because if the belly ever flips over, then the people that were on the top are destroyed. And that's just what the problem is with Kyrie. Yeah. Kyrie, when he did this, like, hey, the whole world need to be mad at me, because when I saw it, I had seen this before, and I said retweet, and not a person on Twitter said a word to me. You know, I mean, I'm not Kyrie Irving, but I got a couple thousand people that support me. And they liked it and retweeted it too. So this is just
this came out in 2018.
It's been a minute. It's not like this just came out yesterday.
Yeah, so we can get mad at people and we can pretend. Look, at the end of the day, knowledge is power. If you find out who you are, that's why if you ever listen to my show, you hear me say this on a regular basis. I quote Marcus Garvey. Africans can do what Africans have done. Mm-hmm. And in the event that you find out that you got a direct connection to the man, it's over. Yeah. You can't tell me I can't do anything. Like, it's so many things that is tied to this that we don't have enough time to talk about that would scare people if they found out. Like, I keep it to myself, but it's certain things. I'll talk to y'all in the background. There's certain things that it's this thing called a straw man, and in the event that you find out about it, you can change the world. You can change the world, and that's what waking the ignorant up. That's why critical race theory. Why are we talking about? Why are people anti-critical race theory? Because critical race theory is a class that is an elective in grad school.
College. It's not even in.
It's in grad school. So you have to graduate from college and then be accepted in the grad school.
It's law school, right?
Right. Yeah. You have to, and it's an elective. It's not even a mandatory class. Now, culturally responsible teaching, CRT, now that's different because it's been proven throughout the United States of America. The last time it was proven in Phoenix, Arizona, when the Mexican community was introduced to having their culture inculcated in traditional academics, and all of their scores went through the roof. So it's been proven time and time again, when you teach people about who they are and where they come from and the power that they possess and the things that they've created, you will empower that people. You cannot have people who've converted to whatever you wanted them to and believe that, hey, I am less than, ever realize that I'm not less than anything, I'm better than, and then it's a problem. Yeah. But the funny thing is, if they ever let us believe that, things will be better, because we're not a warring, destructive, revenge-filled culture. We just want our shot.
Which we not anyway. Because I said this, me and Wilkes was talking about this at work. If we wanted revenge, don't you think we would have did it already? Don't you would have think, like, you think we would have just waited around? So let me get to a couple of comments. Denise Milk and Cookies in the building, cooking some collard greens. Appreciate you. Son. Is gift. Thank you for tuning in.
Pete.
CJ in the building said we talking about Martin Luther Irving. I thought you put the third on there. But I think another part of what he said was, when I was learning about your history, you didn't say anything about that. But when I want to look at my history, it's a problem. It's a problem for me to learn my history. Where we do that at? Like, obviously here.
In an oppressive situation.
So he not only made some good points, but he was that's facts. My daughter right now is learning about this so-called history. Which, what is it, really?
Yeah, that's what Rated that's what Rated Kev just mentioned. The straw man.
So,
People find out about this thing, man.
Somebody text you, Doc. You look
No, I was just looking at some notes. Yeah, that straw man is key. That's exactly what I was saying earlier. Is that as soon as Kyrie starts talking about that, oh, you're anti-Semitic. They didn't address what his argument was. So that is an old form of debate. If you took debate in high school, you learned about this strategy. Which damn near is just saying, just throw out some bullshit. When they say whatever they say, you need to refute something that has nothing to do with what they said, and that's what they do.
Exactly.
And they get people all up in arms about that.
Yeah,
gaslighting.
He says, "Well, let me risk suspension for whoever. Please share this show, share this documentary, let people know true history and not the fairy tale that we've been told. It's been a fairy tale. It's been a nursery rhyme. It's been all lollipops and fairy and unicorns, and the majority of it is not true. Period.
All of it is not true. Because if I tell the world how great Ari is, and she's a wonderful young lady, and she excels in class, but I tell the world I'm her dad, all that stuff that I said is irrelevant because I put a lie in it.
You said, "Be careful, A-Trap."
Right.
I don't know what he. I don't know what
back when he first mentioned straw man.
We got Al High in the building. He said,
What's up, Al?
Waking up.
And that's a great point,
people.
Al. That's a great point, Al, because this guy in the documentary said the exact same thing several times. He said we are in a time to where we are waking up as a people, and you can see that in a lot of different arenas. And in fact, what's funny about it is that we're calling each other out a little bit more on the areas where we're asleep at. In other words, it seems like, think about it this way. We've been asleep in these areas forever, but now it's like it's more detrimental to us that you're asleep in this area. So as a result, it is more frustrating. People seem more frustrated by people who are asleep in these areas. Yeah. So yeah, we are waking up as a people.
Chief Rock in the building. He said, "Time for real history," says Al. CJ said, "I have always believed that us as Black people were the original Jews. All of our history has been whitewashed." And then Justin says, "Ben, it is his story, history as taught here in America."
Right. And remember back again on the documentary Exterminate All the Brutes, where I think it was that documentary, may have been another one as well, where they said, "He who controls history."
Yep.
So again, unfortunately they was playing chess while we was playing checkers.
Right. Exactly. So I want to get to a couple of quotes here. Before I do that, though, he talked about similarities in languages, between tribes.
No doubt.
I mean,
and that has always been one of the ways to where I thought I was able to identify how close different races were to each other is based on how close these certain terms they use were. Right. And so think about it. Think about English to Ebonics. Right. In fact, there's a comedian out there who talks about for you to say, I didn't even know. Black people don't say, I didn't even know. They say, I didn't even know. Right. And so when you look at these linguistics, you can tell that that's not anything new. Right. We've always taken terms, right? Maybe one tribe used this particular term, this other tribe used the term, and there's an extra A on it, or there's an A missing. And this tribe is using this term, and they actually threw an R in theirs where it's not. But you can look at it written out and see these are all the same terms. They're all connected. Just like you could, which is why some people say Ebonics is its own language. You can actually be considered bilingual, because that's all we're doing is taking it and making it a dialect of English.
Right.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
CJ talking about the Moors were very informational, and they were spreading their knowledge around the world. It was helping people figure out how to bathe. This is how you bathe yourself.
I mean, up until 700 BC, up until 700 AD, the Moors controlled Spain and Portugal. We talking about 700. Nice correction. Up until the late 1300s, early 1400s, they controlled it.
The great in the building. Thank you for tuning in.
go ahead. want to make a point what Dog made. Dog, I want to confirm to everybody what the point that Dog was making. And this shows you that our heritage stretched around the entire globe. But it's just, I can't remember. Anytime I'm talking about this, I can never remember the term. It is a term in West African language that means I see you. And guess what it translates to? Just like when you get something new and I say, oh, Dog, I see you got that new Mercedes. I see you. It translates to the exact same thing. And then in Costa Rica, chica and chico. Those are two words. Is traditionally a Latino and Spanish language or Latin American language. Is a woman and O is a man.
Right.
Look, it is a term that when you are like, and it look, neither one, well, most of us have not been to Costa Rica, right? And this how the term is used. Poquito chica. So when it's like this, my mother was, my father transitioned before I got here. And it's a man doing the raking at my mama's yard. My sisters walk up with their friends. They say, who was that? They go, that's my mother's chico. And vice versa, that's my father's chica, my little friend. And what do we say here in America? None of us been to Costa Rica, but what we say, this is my mama little friend.
Right, true.
We ain't been down there to confirm, but that's what it is. So as Dog stated, language binds people no matter what culture, no matter what your original culture is. The communication facets will always tie you into that. How did those you get this? As we just stated, the Moors, CJ mentioned, the Moors controlling the world for by and large up into the early 1400s, early to mid 1400s. Who took over Central and South America and Costa Rica and places like that? Spain and Portugal. That's where the Chica come from. That's where the Moors come from. And we inherently change it, and we haven't even been there. This is lets you know that everything that he was talking about is a spiritual and a biblical and a something that connects us straight to the source.
Yes. And to kind of piggyback off of this comment by Erica, he mentioned the children of Israel left Egypt 1 million strong, and it was a mix of Israelites and Egyptians. So again, that goes to the point that Eric made as well. He says, are we talking about the word swabano?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
The Zulu people constantly use this term when somebody is doing great. I don't know if that's what you meant. Okay.
That's exactly what it is. I couldn't think of it. And it means I see you. And it translates exactly to what we do in America. When you see some dope, somebody got some dope. Oh, Doc, you got that new crib. Man, you got a new. I see you at the new crib.
Right.
Shout out to CJ, man. Good looking out, fam.
Yeah. CJ dropping knowledge. Message. All right, let's get to a quote. One of them was by the second Egyptian president, Gamal Abdel Nasser, and he said, you guys can see it, you, the Jews, will never be able to live here, i.e. Middle East, in peace because you left here black and came back white. We cannot accept you. And I wanted to definitely dive into that.
Yeah, I mean, shit. You see what that is, man? It ain't nothing. I mean, I don't want to comment on it. I want to see what the hell they got to say about it. You know, it's like when he said it, when they dropped the quote, I'm looking to the left to say what y'all got to say.
But I mean that was someone during that time, so that was one of the quotes. Let's get to another one. This was by King Leopold II, and he said the main goal of your mission in the Congo is not to teach the Negro the knowledge of God because they already know him. They talk and commit themselves to their God, Yah, which Yah is God. They know that killing, stealing, adultery, and blasphemy are not good. What does that sound like? The Ten Commandments. Your knowledge of the scriptures will help us to use special texts that recommend the infidels love poverty, such as the Beatitudes. Blessed are the poor, for theirs is the kingdom of heaven. And it is impossible for the rich to enter the kingdom of heaven. You will take them away from anything or any act that gives them the courage to confront us. I am alluding to their magic, juju, voodoo. And the places where we were as slaves, which he went into that, where he talked about how we had the customs, we had the things that we did, which was oh, you go ahead. You just put it up there. Brothers dishing out knowledge like the government uses.
My man.
Oh man, Jungle, man. Probably on the road, man. Appreciate you, Jungle, tuning in. But wherever we were practicing, which he talked about this. I don't even know how many times. Yeah, he mentioned it. We were practicing the Ten Commandments. We were
observing. We were, he talked about the diet, our diet, right?
Right. Right, and he hit that on so many points, and it can't be a coincidence.
Not only
you can't
so
say
many,
this so many times, and it'd be like,
points,
oh, that was just
so many geographical locations.
Exactly.
He's like, look, these are the traditions that are passed. This is not coincidence that they're studying the exact same methodology that they were studying there, et cetera, et cetera.
Which means where did they come from? And then even going into the skeletons, showing people living in Israel.
Yeah.
Were black. The DNA, what does it mean? A1B, E1B1. I don't even know what that means, but he said it so many times, you cannot refute this. And he never said ever that Jews are terrible or he never said anything that was disrespectful. It was just facts and people's real quotes. You can't don't fault the guy for that.
So let me say this DNA, man. Again, and right now, I like to hit him right there with that, because think about in our justice system today how relevant and how huge DNA evidence is. I mean, it's getting people out from incarceration that have been there for decades, right? Yep. So when he comes and talks about the paternal Y DNA haplogroup, and he does this time and time and time again. So not only am I going to show you their skull and look at this skull in comparison to this skull, craniology, now I'm going to tell you the DNA that's mixed up with it. And the bottom line is, and again, he's not saying this to offend the white Jews when he says it, right? Because you got to start asking how they came to be. Every white Jew didn't decide, hey, let's kick the black Jews out and let's become the Jew. Everybody in that particular group isn't responsible for doing that. Guess what? Just like in their race, in our race, we got sheep, they got sheep. So a lot of them just shit. Okay, this is what we're supposed to do. They were born into the shit, right? Yeah. But again, he goes, a white Jew does not have this in their DNA. And if you are the original Israelites, if you're the original Jews of the Bible, you have to have this in your DNA. And I would say that and shut the fuck up. Say something that disputes that.
And to further confirm what you just said, look at the principles of Judaism. How do you become a Jew? How are you labeled a Jew? You are labeled a Jew in accordance to your mother. Your mother, it can only be the only person that could pass Judaism down to you genetically. Mm-hmm. So if my mother's the only person made it pass this down, and the very first person in the history of the earth is a woman.
Hey.
I love the way you said that. So, and then he talked about the Bantu people, how they are the Israelites as well, and talking about the culture, again, following the Ten Commandments, circumcision.
Circumcision is all throughout this. And think about me, it's like, don't you get to, it's like when he's hitting these certain things, you're like, God, dog, that do connect, that do make sense, that do, and there's things that are, there may even been things that we saw, but we didn't know what we were seeing. You follow what I'm saying? You know, you may have recognized it subconsciously, but you couldn't. I'm gonna tell you right now, I lack the intelligence to put them together. Right. So what he did is he came and tied them together for me and say, this is what you were seeing. This is why that looks funny. This is why you always thought that every time you saw an Ethiopian chick at DD's discount store when you were shopping. This is why you always thought. I'm serious. That's how. That's how practical the application is, right? It's like we've all seen it. You're not hearing information that seems unfamiliar to you, even though you've really never heard the specifics or the detail before.
And I'm not going to say you lack the intelligence, dog. You lack the academic information.
Yeah, there you go.
Because the intelligence allows you to accept it.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah. And people need this. And I'm not only Black people need this. We all need this because we all should be following what the commandments and the laws that God put in place for us.
It's like if I got a white cat, you know, and I'm trying to tell him who we really are, right? I'm not trying to tell you that because I want you to give me something. Exactly. I'm not trying to tell you that. I'm trying to tell you that so you are aware, just like I'm aware. If anything, I want my traditions. I want my customs. I want to be who I'm supposed to be. Right. And I want to live in the fullness of it, you know, because guess what? At the end of the day, what you've stolen from me is not what you care to protect. Yeah. It's not, you know, see, you're trying to make sure, you know, see, but that's the thing of it, right? If we find out who we are and we are awake fully, we understand that we come from kings.
Yeah, kingship. Well, we do. And he was talking about that throughout the whole thing. Why would they hide this? And then he would give a reason. Why would they cover this up? Because if we really knew, we would walk different, we would act different, we would behave different, we would think about things differently because we are not just what they say we are. And there was a video I was gonna download it and add it to the show, but it was a little girl. And it kind of tore me up a little bit. She was getting her hair done, and she was like, "I'm ugly," and the mom that was doing her hair was like, "No, you're not. You are beautiful." And I just thought, like, how many of us have that in our head? Not that we said that to ourselves, not that our parents said to us, but what it is portrayed to us. How many of us deal with that?
No, there's a you know, Diane Sawyer used to do these little specials on Sunday evenings and stuff like that, right? On NBC. And they did a study, you know, I'm not saying she did it. There's a study similar to that where they showed these kids 2 dolls. I can't remember the name of the study. And I know Adrian
We've all seen it. That's what it's called.
Yeah, and so they show them these 2 dolls, one of them black, one of them white, and they ask them questions about them. You know, which one of these do you think is doing good in school? They'll point to the white doll. Which one of them do you think behaves poorly at school? They point to the black doll. And they showed these to 4, 5, 6, 7, 8-year-olds who have never been told anything different, anything specific. That's just based on how they have seen life in their first 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 years, you know, and to me, if you don't want to acknowledge it, you know, you have a hidden agenda, man.
That's your choice. You are choosing not to acknowledge it, and you are also choosing not to watch this. That's on you. If you choose to not watch it, but have a whole 5-minute video on it, that's whack, man. That's like doing commentary on a football game and you're not even watching. It's not possible.
Tony Romo do it. And bringing it back to sports.
I appreciate you, the intellect, the one and only Eric Butler, co-host of Perspective on Thursdays at 8:30. He said he saw that clip. Man, I watched it. And I was getting ready to cry, man, because I thought about my daughter, and then I immediately thought about how many of us are saying that in our heads as we're walking around.
Yeah, that test I referred to, it was simply called that, the doll test. You know, it was administered in the 1940s, psychological experiment on the effects of segregation and whatnot. So yeah, 1940s, man.
The sad thing about this is the people who control this thing have determined what is beautiful and what is not.
No doubt.
Yeah. All right, we're going to take a quick break, man. I've been forgetting to do these station identifications. So
You got to pee?
nah.
He got a boo boo. No.
We'll be right back.
You are now tuned to BS3 Network.
What do you get when you watch or listen to the Life Happens podcast? Well, I'll let them tell you.
Kim and I are both ministers of the gospel, and what Life Happens podcast is a beautiful balance by simply taking our spirituality with real life and merging it together to create a beautiful balance. And that's what we do.
BS3 Network proudly presents Life Happens podcast, where Christianity and life intersect. Live every Wednesday at 7 p.m. Central.
And big shout out to Cole Johnson, man. Cole is a killer when it comes to the promos. He just did one the other day for Wise El Jefe. He's got a show that's going to be Monday, Tuesday, Wednesdays at 4 on BS3 TV. He just did a promo last night for him. But, man, he's pumping these things out, doing a great job.
I have another one in my email that was sent at 3:32 today. I just hadn't had a chance to check it out yet. So more to come.
And this may be the question of the night right here. Do you think this information would actually change our thinking, and how long do you think it would take?
Hey, Trap, you want to start?
Oh, well, most definitely, I'll take it. I definitely think it will take about a decade because we're talking about a generation of work. I think most things will change in a decade because what it'll take a few years for people to accept it. It's going to be due to the structure of the brainwashing that has been poured upon us. You got 400 years of oppression, 400 years of denigration, 400 years of doubting, self-doubt that you have to work out. But it traditionally takes about 10 years to work all of that out of your system. Because look, we're gonna continue to work, but in 10 years, you have a whole group of young people that are grown up noticing this. That's why you have so many young people that are pushing back in regards to the civic duties of elections because they saw a black dude sitting in their seat, so they know it's a possibility now. Yeah. And now you can't turn back the hands of time. That's why hate groups have increased. That's why discrimination is coming back. That's why these things are there, because every ounce of black success has been met with white hate and white destruction. And it's not an entire culture of people, but there are certain groups in this culture that we call the United States that they live to destroy what you have created. So 10 years, I think it will, because now you realize, oh, I ain't nothing. You will be forced to do away with it, and it'll slowly filter out. So a decade.
Yeah, I think that at least, for me, I think it would take longer because, again, you have to see people operating in the traditions and customs that we should be operating in, right? And so it would take kids, toddlers, youth who have been unaffected, who have not been jaded, who have not been poisoned, and again, so think about that right now, right? If we were to try to flush out, because that's what we're having to do, we're having to flush out the toxins that have been put into us now for me and A-Trap 5 decades. Mm-hmm. You got to flush those toxins out. Even if, let's say, A-Trap has been on it the last 10 years himself, he still got some stuff that's got to be flushed out that sometimes it's subconscious, right? You don't even know it's there, So again, not you got to work through that whole How will they see me? You know, the people who you have gotten accustomed to being around, you've gotten accustomed to integrating with and rubbing elbows with and living with and, you know, sharing this planet with. So again, it's going to take, it's going to take, you know, and that's if we don't do what we typically do, and that is episodic diligence. We got to take this away from, okay, you just shot another brother out there. So now that's an episode, right? We just had another episode of a brother get, you know, killed or whatever the case may be, treated unfairly. And now we're diligent for the time until that episode is passed, right? And so that's what we've had a tendency to do. So we got to be able to remove this from being episodic in our diligence to just a way of life. It is the same way to where, are you on a diet or did you change your lifestyle? So it has to be a lifestyle change, not just a momentary thing. And again, unfortunately, not only will you see pushback outside of our community, you will see pushback within our community.
Yeah. And I'll say this.
To say that.
Yeah. It's been about maybe a year and a half to 2 years when I came into this truth. And it's a process. It is. It first started off as anger. Like, why? Why would people continue to push this narrative? Why is it that I'm just now figuring this out? Why? It's all those whys and it's anger towards a lot of different areas. And then it turns into kind of like sadness, like, wow, all the stuff that I've known is a complete lie. And then it's like, okay, it is what it is. I got to move on. And then it's the stages of grief is really what it's going to come down to.
And you got to reconcile that with yourself. You got to be like,
how long is that going to take?
Did I let them fool me? How the fuck did I let them pull the wolves over my eyes like this? Am I, you know, you got to have to reconcile that with yourself, you know, and be like, you know, damn.
The timetable really, I think, depends on you and how you want to move through it. Because I definitely believe the older that you are, the more you gotta dig through that stuff and work that stuff out. Yeah. But I think the positive point, though, Pastor Don and all of us, is if you have kids or grandkids, which I'm so thankful that my daughter now, we can get through all the BS. Like we can say, nah, that wasn't true. Now, and she doesn't have anyone else to say, well, no, maybe it is or maybe it isn't. So that is the positive part, is that as we get older, the next generation, we can help them and give them this truth, and imagine how that would change their lives and their perspective. So,
see, the reason I would say 10 years is this. I just look back at history. History will teach you everything. History shows me at the end of the Civil War, the Revolutionary War, is another Civil War. Civil War ended in 1865. Then we entered, over the next 10 years, we entered a period called Reconstruction. At the beginning of Reconstruction, 3% of our people, not actually, less than 1% of our people could read. At the end of Reconstruction, 98% of us could read. At the end of Reconstruction, at the beginning of Reconstruction, we had no elected officials. At the end of Reconstruction, 10 years later, you had 365. You had 36 Congress people in the House of Representatives. That's why I said 10 years. As you stated, you have elders who more than likely going to have a problem digesting this. But at the end of the day, it's going to sound brutal, but they're going to die. They're going to die sooner versus later.
It ain't brutal. It's the truth. Shit.
They're going to die sooner versus later. That 10-year period will erase a big chunk of those people. And then you have the people who are genetically they have it inculcated into their DNA that this is what we are supposed to be doing. We had that during the Reconstruction period. You had people who wanted to go back to enslavement because that's all they knew.
It's akin to somebody being adopted that didn't know they were adopted until and when they found out, shit, that's what I was supposed to. That's why I was like
that's
this.
Why I'm different.
It re-energizes them and they start.
But you still lean back to that original family, but you would also move forward. So history shows us things change in about a 10-year period. And that's why I picked the 10-year period, because if our ancestors who started off even further back than we are currently, and they have been inculcated into this and they've never seen anything of this nature, no matter who we are and where we are at this point, we know something is off.
Right.
So we'll be ahead of the curve. And then that 10-year period, it might not even take but 8 years because, again, some of those people going to die off. Hey, man, God put us in the perfect world and Cain killed Abel. So it's going to be some rejects in the midst of this.
Oh, yeah.
That 10-year period is traditionally how long it takes.
Yeah.
Get to a couple of these comments because it's a couple.
Eric, some people don't want to change their thinking. They have become very complacent in their lifestyle.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. You know the story about the sheepdog. I don't know. I'm not sure on that. Eric says, right, Doc. You see they're doing away with affirmative action in 2024. I did. Yeah, I did see that. We don't hold. Oh, go ahead.
The beauty in getting rid of the affirmative action is if we activate and move forward, you can rewrite affirmative action and put race into it because affirmative action has only benefited white women. 88% of affirmative action cases benefit white women. So get rid of
white women. Yes.
Right.
White.
White.
Kev on stage, man. We don't hold or have possession of the infrastructure resources needed to spread the word enough for the new values and programming to be imparted, practiced, and ingrained.
Yeah. See, we let me just say this. He's 100% right, but here's the deal: we have it. I mean, again, think about social media, the internet. We're past the sweet spot of the information age, you know. So again, remember, a thought used to take a decade to get across the world. Now you can get it there in 10 seconds, right? You know,
how fast you type.
So yeah, so we have the ability to spread the information. It's not the spreading of the information; it is the indoctrination of it. It is the acceptance of it. It is the absorption. That's the problem. Because guess what? The misinformation ain't gonna stop.
No, it's gonna keep coming.
And guess what? I see here's some psychological warfare that has been going on. And guess what? It's coming out of China. And the reason why TikTok and that type of thing is so popular is because guess what? They're trying to get the human population in general to think in 10-second bites. Okay, 12-second bites, 30-second bites. They don't want you to be able to watch a documentary that's 3 hours. You know how many people out there that would not even freaking consider this? To watch a documentary that's 3 hours? Are you kidding me? Why would I do that? Regardless of how beneficial it is to me. So again, that psychological warfare has put it out there. So again, we can spread it, but we've been conditioned not to be able to absorb it.
Because how many times we're on social media and we're scrolling and we see something that's like, that was interesting. Yeah. You just keep scrolling like, okay.
Again, it is akin to the reason why you need supplemental vitamins for the thing that your body already produces. But because of what you've been eating over the last 40 years, your body doesn't absorb it the same way and it doesn't produce it the same way.
Right.
Right?
Raider Kev said, what needs to happen, we need to take the lead until our family will about these things. Process starts with us as individuals.
See, man, I'm gonna say this, man. Y'all don't read comments that are not well written because it makes people think. It makes it sound like you are uneducated.
I know.
It makes it sound like you are the dummiest of dummies. So
I'm going to skip to the end. Individuals. So again, please share this podcast. All right. And the pushback on our progress is enormous and great. Just look around. Yeah. We appreciate you, Raider Kev, for really sharing this out. And I would say the most important part, it is important what we're saying, but it's more important that you watch this. Yeah. Because I'm telling you, there is so much information in this.
We couldn't do it justice to tell you everything that this cat put in there. It's not possible. I had the reason why I had to watch it in 3 settings, man, is because the information is just coming at you. And it's somewhat overwhelming. Right? But guess what? Not one time did I ever think with the information he gave me, I didn't say, man, I don't know. That's a bit of a stretch. I don't know. I never once got that thought about any information he shared.
And if you look at the reviews, which I did it on purpose to look, and a lot of them said a lot of information, thank you, stuff I didn't know. And then some people said, oh, well, it was like 10 minutes of promos at the beginning. But nobody said this information isn't true. All they could say is, oh, it was too long. It was like a slideshow. Well, you watched it, you paid for it, so he winning. So I mean, whatever.
Yeah.
And Kyrie did him a huge solid for tweeting that, and that people are gonna be like, wow, what is that? So I mean, this was necessary. It is necessary to watch. Let me get to a couple other.
What you're dealing with right now is the rebirth of a nation. Did y'all catch that comment in there?
Yep.
That was the rebirth of a nation.
Yeah. All right, we're gonna get to this comment by Henry Ford, and I'm not gonna read all of it. We're gonna look at the part in the red. Abraham was not a Jew. Isaac was not a Jew. Jacob was not a Jew. Moses was not a Jew. Joshua was not a Jew. Gideon was not a Jew. Samuel was not a Jew. The majority of the prophets were not Jews, but Israelites. This is from Henry Ford in 1922, which he talked about Jew and Israelite and how those terms are different and they're not exactly the same. Yeah, rebirth of a nation. Let me get to this other one. Now, I don't agree. We, as far as on this panel in BS3 Network, does not agree with what this guy did, but we need to look at this quote. And he says I had to say that before I put this up here.
Be Hitler.
Yes, yes. The genetic heritage of the Jews is traced to the Oriental Shemitic, Negro, Near Asian, and Hamitic African peoples. This was in a book, the Nazis World War II. This was in 1980. And then the last one, they said this is possibly a quote from Hitler when he was talking to someone, but he was talking mainly about America has God's jewelry. The Americans have the jewels of God. The Americans have stolen God's precious jewels. What do you mean, the precious jewels? The soldier asked. Hitler said, America has stolen the Jews, the jewels of God, his jewelry, the Negroes. They are the true Hebrews. And he said, what a foolish move and a direct challenge to God. And they plan on moving these false white Jews into a state of Israel. So again, these are quotes. Now that one they said, let me go back to it. It said believed to be said by Hitler. But the fact that people during that time said these things, it ties into everything of what he was saying. Those are actual people during that time. We went to the quote with the second Egyptian president and how, I mean, you don't really get no plainer than this. You left black and you came back white. We can't accept you. Who are you? Is basically what he was saying. But the Bantu people, A-Trap, I don't know if you had anything you wanted to add.
No, not really. I mean, it just you know what's funny about this thing? Like when you look at those quotes, and then later on in the documentary, you see him quote Socrates, and then you see them quote dozens of philosophers. Again, remember at the beginning when I said the one good thing about the truth is it's going to be the truth no matter how it is. Right. People will tell you a lie, but the truth will creep into it. We were taught that we were less than, not good enough, and we're the scum of the earth, right? And we only are. You started in Jamestown in 1619, right? That's what you were taught.
Right.
But you also taught us about the Aboriginals in Australia. You destroyed an entire island of people called Tasmania. You got rid of all those people off Tasmania because you couldn't even inbreed, though they were so black you couldn't even inbreed them out. As I've showed on my show several times, you got some of the original people in China are black. Some of the original people in the Philippines are black. You have people who living in caves right now in why did I almost call that place Jamaica, in Japan, that are black. As you walk through the entire world, you see that we're everywhere, and you're never there. And that's just the bottom line. Well, I'm everywhere, and you're never there. So it really doesn't make a difference how you disseminate this thing called what you perceive as the truth, that lie will, as y'all stated earlier, that lie will be destroyed, and the truth will just come to that's why you have things like the cream always rises to the top. The truth comes out no matter how many times you lie. So even with, you look at the pyramids, like he mentioned the pyramids, and the pyramids in Giza are the youngest pyramids on the planet. Did y'all know that? Those are the newest pyramids in the world, the one in Giza in the Nile Valley. The ones that we go,
I know that. No.
Woo, those are the newest ones.
The newest ones.
Right. So the truth will always come to fruition, no matter what no matter what is said and how it's done. And so no, I didn't really need it, but it was a beautiful documentary, and it was extremely informative. And I would like to ask the people, where's the anti-Semitism at?
Really? If you watch this, where is it? Because it's not false information. It's not. But to have DNA, to have the language, the skin color, the hair, the DNA, the skulls. I mean, like, a lot of this is researched information.
Well, let me just say this. You know how growing up we always had that one kid that would say, my mama got some Indian in her. We got Indian in our family. We had, whatever. Well, the truth be known, you probably did, right? Not only did you have some Native American Indian in your family, you also had some Eastern Indian in your family. And guess what? The connection between, as A-Tribe mentioned earlier, the Aboriginal tribes of Australia and the Asians and the Eastern Indians, man, we are connected and got DNA in all of those cultures, man. Because again, our diaspora took us there. And when we went, guess what? They mixed.
Right.
Yeah.
And they needed us, really, because there was another short video I seen where they were talking about how when they went to get slaves, they picked particular places. It's not that they just went somewhere and said, "Hey, all y'all get on." They went to particular places,
things like farming prowess and stuff like that, man.
And there was natives that was already there, so like they could have used them, but they went to come out to get us for a reason. Raider Kev says, question, is there any course in high school or college that means more than what I'm hearing tonight? I don't know.
Maybe in college and an HBCU, possibly.
Actually, man, you get a lot of these schools at the PWIs. They'll teach you this stuff. That's the ironic thing about this, man. At PWIs, they'll teach you about this stuff, and you'd be shocked. You'll be shocked. You'll find about a lot of this stuff at PWIs, but they're not gonna get that propaganda. They're not gonna get that information. They're not gonna get that banner, because if you're informing people, you waking people up.
Just got a question.
Hidden Color series. The Hidden Color. It's about on par. Justin, the Hidden Color series is an excellent series of information. But the only difference is the Hidden Color series kind of primarily keeps you in the Western Hemisphere. This takes you throughout the entire Eastern Hemisphere of the world. So you got two different sides of it. But man, Tariq Nasheed, that's why I salute him at every show. I salute Tariq Nasheed at every show, because the more you learn, the more you realize 15,000 years ago, as Black people in California. Like, this is just my personal theory. I mean, that it isn't affirmed by anything in the history of nothing. But I always said that the Underground Railroad is stories passed down from generation to generation by people who were already here, who were captured. And that's why, because if I've never left, like you guys are in Dallas, and I'm in Chicago. If I'm in Cook County, I don't know what is it, Dallas County?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Dallas County.
If you've never left Dallas County, I've never left Cook County. I can't find out how to get to Dallas County, and you can't find out how to get to Cook County. But if we have an ancestral situation that we're going back and forth, then those stories are being passed along. Remember,
Right.
history wasn't always written down. It was told, just like we know our
passed
nieces
down. Yep. And
was
stories
passed down.
Yeah.
So I personally believe people like a great ancestor, Harriet Tubman, she was listening to her grandmother, and her grandmother told her, you know, we used to do these things. Like it's these caves here in southern Illinois, around Pawtucket, Kentucky, and Carbondale, Illinois. It's these caves that have traces of what's my man name, Mansa Musa, that he was coming back and forth here trading maize here in Illinois. So it's just a situation to whereas we were here before that. Like they tell you 1492 is when they tell you that they tell the lie about Columbus, right? But Dr. Henry Louis Gates, he does the thing with showing heritage, right? Black Thought, the MC out of Philadelphia, his family's here in the 1300s.
Yeah.
James died. That's a good point that he.
Yeah, I did want to. Yeah, he said one is a people. We're not talking about Jew.
Talking about the Jews
and Israelite. One is a people. One is a religion or a practice. So Judaism is the practice. Israelite is the people.
And that's why the thing is that the white Jews are more. They're practicing a religion.
Right.
That's not who they are.
He said, "Is the link posted?" You saying the link to the documentary?
It's on Amazon.
It's on
you
Amazon.
Go to Amazon Prime Video.
Yeah.
We can give you a link, but you're gonna still have to pay that $10 or $11.
Yeah.
$10 that way. You need an SD. You don't need
it's money well spent too. You know, as we are getting close to the end of our episode tonight, again, our intent was not to cover every piece of information that was in this documentary. We couldn't do it if we wanted to, right? And we couldn't do it any justice. But I just simply impress upon you to take the time to check it out. For those of you who know me and know how much I like food and certain types of food, think about how many people in our lives have tried to talk to us about not eating pork. It started for me at 17 years old in the military. I had cats coming from, that was my first experience with being exposed to people all over the country. So I have had people for 33 years minimum, 34, 35 years now minimum, coming at me about religion and diet and all these other kind of things. This is the first thing that I've ever watched that made me actually think and have me actually thinking to myself, I might not be eating pork no more.
Come on. Because look,
I'm not kidding you.
Yeah,
you know,
think about it this way. When the dietary law, which is in Leviticus, it talks about no pork, no shellfish, no. And at the end of the day, all them animals is bottom feeders.
In there, is it?
Scavengers.
Yes. You gotta have fins and scales. All that stuff is eating the dirt off the ground. They're eating dirt crap. They're eating all the stuff off. And when you think about it, I think God is so amazing that He said, "Don't eat these things." Do you think that is at all tied to the diseases that we deal with? That's tied to our blood pressure we deal with. If we would to our best ability follow those 10 commandments, look at those dietary laws. No, it's not going to be easy, but again, it goes back to choice, and there is a consequence to not following that choice, which again, when we talked about earlier, was the curses. Yes, but go ahead, dog. I'm going to cut you off.
You said catfish is in there?
Catfish is in there. No
catfish is in there, homeboy.
All right, let's
now you can do white fish.
Everything that I done said.
Well, I'm not even gonna tell you about this documentary that you could watch. That, hey man, it took me off meat. I watched that documentary. It took me off meat for 2 years.
Yeah.
He said, "Hey, Ben got a joke." No,
nah, man.
Nah, ain't no. Ain't no.
But I'm trying. You know what? Let me ask you a question, Ben. I mean, A-Trap. If there's one place that I need to travel on the African continent, right, that will get me the most information, right, that'll get me the biggest experience, in terms of being connected with like some of the stuff that this documentary told us about. See, my family's already got a trip to South Africa planned for next summer. And based on what he told me and the Bantu people and stuff like that, it seems like that's not a bad location, but is there a better location to be at to be able to get the most out of it, right? Because, you know, that's not the kind of trip you can just make every other weekend, you know, kind of deal, right?
Yeah.
Well, I would say anywhere in the Nile Valley, but I would say Ethiopia, because Ethiopia got the oldest standing Bible in the history of the world. They got the oldest standing church in the history of the world. So if you want to go to where the thing started, you go to the Bible's source and you go to the church.
Cool. So I think I'm going to keep that South Africa trip with the family in July, but I think I'll make a separate trip to the Ethiopia area myself then.
Yeah, and I just posted the link to all of the platforms we're on, because we're on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, Twitch, or everywhere. So I just posted that link there. Appreciate the comment. Great show. I believe that's probably Blue Streak Freak, if I'm not mistaken.
But you know what's funny? Which I was just talking about that. It's these cocoa beans that when you go to the Nile Valley, when you get off the plane, they give them to you. And they cool off your body. They make you sweat instantly. They have several effects on the human body. Cooling off the body, which is lowering the blood pressure, when you lower the blood pressure, you're reducing strokes. And when you do that, it's Viagra. So.
Yeah, Ready Kev, you got to give up the scrimps. Yeah, man. If they don't have fins and scales, which tilapia does have fins and scales. I know
my grandma I ain't never had no tilapia in my grandma.
And I'll say this, because me and my family this year, we have taken that step. So we don't do pork. I didn't do pork for a little while. After I kept seeing videos of them in slop, I was like, I can't do it. Ain't no such thing as no clean pig. Okay, stop, people. Oh, it was on a farm. It was eating grass only. Get out. And another documentary you watch is called it's the guy that made Super Size Me, but he did a different one on chicken. And so free range chicken, you know, people think it means they get to roam around the range. No, it just means they get this little amount of space outside of the barn to roam around. And it's not enough space for them to go anywhere. So the rabbit hole is deep.
I warn you, stay away from What the Health. Do not watch it. If you don't want to destroy your entire refrigerator, stay away from What the Hell.
Yeah, I feel you.
Yeah, I don't eat a lot. I don't eat very much pork. I'm probably the last bit of pork that I eat is probably bacon, and then Mexican tacos sometimes.
Them spots off of Harry Hines.
I'm gonna give you a preview of What the Health. At the beginning of What the Health, the man calls to American Cancer Society, and he said something that would disturb the bleep out of you.
Yeah.
So it's a process, but I truly believe that God loves us so much that He put this in the Bible for us to follow, because He knew that it would kill us. He knew. He knows everything, obviously. So
he know. Yeah. Brothers gonna make this into chitlins. I can't tell them to don't eat this.
They can eat them guts.
Don't eat no chitlins.
All right,
chitlins
y'all.
is dookie, y'all. Chitlins is dookie, y'all.
Yeah.
I don't care if it came out of a chicken. It's dookie, y'all. Stop eating chitlins.
Yeah, it's a dookie track with the track.
Yeah,
dookie. Then you got to put it up. Then you got to put it up to the spout and just run it through it. Hopefully, all that dookie get out of there. But
that's like taking a dump on a steak, saying I cleaned it.
All right, y'all. Final thoughts, and mic rating. We're gonna go to Doc first.
Again, probably more than any documentary or movie we reviewed, I would have to say I'd recommend this. You got to go spend your time watching this. You know,
no, it ain't.
You really do.
No, it ain't.
Hot sauce is delicious. That's what you like. Even without hot sauce.
It's unflavored fat. It don't taste good. Well, I'm sorry.
Yeah, so I would recommend that you watch it. See, I'm not going to get into. I'm giving the documentarian a pass on the delivery of the information, right? You know, I don't necessarily think that he was too wrapped up into that. He was just trying to give you the information. He wasn't trying to get too fancy, so to speak. But the information is so undisputable and so plentiful that I got to give it a 5, Mike, you know, as a result, you know. And again, I think everybody on the planet needs to watch it. Simple as that.
And anybody, because I'm looking at the stats right now, anybody that gave a thumb down, do me a favor and watch this if you haven't. Do not take our words for it. Do not say, "Oh, Ben said this."
What do you mean? Anybody who gave a thumbs down where?
On YouTube. I'm talking to that person
on our YouTube.
Yeah. If you have not watched this, you got to watch it. Don't take my word for it. Don't take A-Trap.
Matter of fact, I'm going to get you on the podcast to figure out what you giving me a thumb down for here.
Watch it for yourself. This is not one of those things where you say, "Oh, I'll watch the Fourcast and I know I don't need to watch that." That ain't what it is. All right, A-Trap.
I think it was extremely informative. It was provocative. It was thought-provoking, and it puts you in a situation to whereas you want to learn. So anytime you put me in a situation where I want to learn, I got to give you an excellent, and I'm gonna give it 5 mics. It was a stone groove, my man. It was the most righteous.
Yeah, man, I'm with you on that trading places. Now, and I'm gonna say this, man, and I'm not just saying this for the way you react to Kyrie or the way you react to people in these situations, but you know, okay, cut it out. You know, we don't. Ain't nobody trying to come after white folks. Ain't nobody trying to come after white Jews. Ain't nobody trying to, you know, cut that out. That's BS. You know, and it's a tired trick. Okay, it has nothing to do with that. You know.
Yeah. And the truth, going back to what Kyrie said, and I'll say this on my own, for my own self, it is not wrong for me to know where I came from. It is not wrong because I've been lied to for so long. I don't know. If you ask the random black person on the street, they're gonna say I came from Africa, which is partly true, but there is more to it than that. It is not just I came from Africa. It's just not that. So we, as a people, definitely need to dig into this. Do your own research. He has a book. Now the book is thick. It's like 2 Bibles. But read the book. Watch this documentary. It is the best $10 you spend because this is emotional freedom. This is spiritual freedom. This is giving you a lot more than just, oh, I just watched a documentary that was 3 hours.
Stop telling people you got Indian in you because you got that good hair.
That ain't why you got it.
Appreciate the big Illinois. Denise, thank you for tuning in. Yeah, so it's a 5 mic for me.
Even this, I didn't have time to get into it, but just the fact that Miss Sonia, y'all missed it when you might have said something. When she came on, she goes, "I'm just listening to y'all while I'm picking collard green," and just think about the connection to where we come from. That she's doing that, you know, right now. You know, it's just, man.
And she making chitlins with them greens.
Now she's not gonna do that.
She rinsing out that track.
Don't use that same pot either.
Do it with all the windows open.
That dookie pot you use.
Do it with all the windows open because it's gonna stink. It's gonna stink at the whole house.
You gonna eat something that smell like somebody farted on it.
So I'm gonna go ahead and commit to, you know, cutting my pork intake down even and more. I'm not gonna eat them Mexican tacos no more. But y'all gonna have to give me a minute on this bacon and catfish. This is a process.
Hey,
you know, I'm glad
I know turkey bacon ain't the same, but you can maybe do turkey bacon ain't the same. I ain't gonna lie to you.
Nah.
It tastes like
turkey bacon tastes like dookie.
Yeah, tastes like a brick.
Yeah.
All right, so it's
like
definitely
they made it out of newspaper.
Yeah, really, like they fried some newspaper. But it's a 5 micer for me. I was gonna think, all right, he did the 8-minute promo, but you could fast forward past the promo. And I actually,
my
it's
whole
funny.
$10. I watched that promo.
Amazon fast forwarded it for me. I don't know why. I don't know if it's because we rented it before, but it like skipped to 8 minutes already on its own. And I was like, why I do that? So I end up watching the promos anyway.
You know, let me tell you why. The white man.
But man, this is 100% worth it. I'm glad, Doc. I'm glad you brought it up. I know A-Trap, you posted it in the chat.
Yeah, well, we've changed our entire approach. We were supposed to be reviewing Jasmine's Blues or whatever today, but when it came up with Kyrie and stuff like that, I'm like, we've got to talk about this. You know, we've got to check this out. You know.
And whenever, and I'll say this too, this has been a thing on social media that a lot of people have said. What happened to Brett Favre selling that dough? Oh, we forgot about that. But we want to talk about Kyrie, or we want to talk about Kanye in the news every week. So I ain't gonna say him, but we could get on Kyrie for posting something and then backing it up. Which again, all these reporters didn't watch the documentary. So again, like let's not pick and choose who we want to villainize. But the dude stole millions of dollars from poor people. But nah, he all good though. He was sending texts to women. I mean, when he was still on the team,
he was sending his PP out.
A whole nother thing. But no, let's.
And he
let's
was on coke.
Yeah, turkey bacon is the worst. Yeah, I understand.
They wasn't calling him Bankhead Brett because he was doing the bounce. He was buying the ounce.
All right, so we're gonna get out of here tomorrow. Real quick, we'll keep this short, fellas. Tomorrow on Queen Theory King.
Snitches get snitches. Yeah, so that ought to be fun. You know, we're gonna talk about the origin of that a little bit. We're gonna talk about what are you teaching your kids? Are you teaching them to snitch? Are you teaching them not to? There's an interesting social media post. There's an interesting social media post on that. So we're gonna dig into that and how that's affecting our community.
Yeah.
God says no snitching, no backbite.
Mm-hmm.
All right, what's up tomorrow on End of the Bench?
Tomorrow I'm gonna keep it real light, man. You know, election day is tomorrow. Voted today. Yep. I'm a confess for my anti-vote person. So I'm gonna offer some marching orders. You know, talk about what we need to do. You know, everybody will be in play as of Thursday morning. Thursday morning, I'm gonna give some information on what we need to do, and I'm gonna make some acknowledgments of things that have happened. Because, you know, for the last 6 months, I've been talking about what we need to do to get up to today. Tomorrow is what we need to do going forward.
Yeah, definitely.
No matter who wins.
Yeah. So BS3network.com, BS3TVlive.com. Check out all the platforms. End of the Bench podcast, which is on YouTube. Make sure to check that out. And
I like this way, man. We need to try this more.
Did I do that? I think
I think you did.
I like that way though. Whoever talking get the big screen.
We can switch it up. So next week we are doing,
because I feel pressure. When I got a regular screen, I can just speak freely.
Next week we are going to do Jasmine's Blues, which is on Netflix. Unless something else come up, well, we flip it up on this show. Something else more pertinent, we will change it up. You got 2 homework assignments. Watch this documentary and read Deuteronomy 28. Read it, or if you want to just listen to it while you're riding in the car, and tell me or tell us who you think that is. So, thank you everybody for tuning in. I forgot to do this last week, but A-Trap, go ahead and close us out.
Oh, man, I forgot. Yeah, man.
It's been a minute.
Yeah, it's been a minute, man. What do I say? Oh, yeah. I knew that. I will salute Reggie O'Shea as usual, man, by saying, dream those dreams and man up a woman up and live your dreams, because life without dreams flows in black and white. Life with dreams flows in technicolor, surround sound. And y'all already know we're in the middle of a recession. We got a food shortage. We got high gas. So if I owe you something, I ain't got it. And if you need it, get it from God.
Peace.
Just like this documentary was got from God. God.
All right, we'll see y'all next week.
There's a 100% chance of a laugh thunderstorm. 4 men with different viewpoints take a movie, show, or documentary and review it uncensored, unfiltered, uncompromised, with no holds barred. Join BS3, Wilkes, King Doc, and H-Rap B as they take on Hollywood their own way. BS3 Network proudly presents the Fourcast, where H-Rap B always predicts,
if I owe you something, I ain't got it. And if you need it, get it from God.
live every Monday at 8:30 p.m. Central. Check your local listings for your viewing and listening pleasure.